Hello and welcome to the agenda. I am Ajay Kaul. In this program today, we will try to find out India's preparedness in building world-class defense equipment. The government is giving a big push to indigenization in the defense sector. The government recently issued a list of 108 defense items which cannot be imported but only manufactured in India. Earlier last year, the government had issued a list of 101 such items. The Defense Ministry has also decided that 6 conventional submarines would be built indigenously in India. We will discuss this aspect in the agenda today to understand whether the country has appropriate capabilities to build world-class defense equipment. To help us understand this, we have with us former Deputy Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Gurmeet Singh and former Director of Public Interface of DRDO, Mr. Ravi Gupta. But before we start our conversation, have a look at this small report.
Over the last 1 year after the outbreak of coronavirus pandemic, the Government of India is giving a major push to indigenization in the defense sector. Under the Atmanirbhar Bharat program, the government is pitching for made in India equipment in the field of defense field like light compact aircraft, helicopters, missiles and radars. The Defense Ministry in August last year issued a list of 101 such items which cannot be imported but must be made within the country. A few days back, the ministry released a list of 108 more such items. The first list included artillery guns, missile destroyers, shipborne, cruise missiles, light combat aircraft, light transport aircraft, long range and land attack cruise missiles, communication satellites, basic trainer aircraft, multi-barrel rocket launchers, a variety of radars, assault rifles, sniper rifles, mini UAVs and different types of ammunitions. The second list consists of several military systems including specified types of helicopters, next generation corvettes, airborne early warning and control systems, tank engines, medium power radar for mountains, medium range surface to air missile system and anti-material rifles, the ministry said in a statement. The prohibition on import of such items will start in December this year, and with the indigenization will be implemented progressively up to December 2025. Along with this, the Defense Ministry also announced that 6 conventional submarines would be built within the country. The intent behind the move is to reduce dependence on foreign vendors for defense equipment and increase self-reliance in the field. It may be noted here that India is the second largest importer of weapon systems. Here report.
Let's welcome our guests, Lieutenant General Gurmeet Singh and Mr. Ravi Gupta. Welcome to the program, both of you. So I'll begin by going to General Gurmeet Singh about the Government of India issuing the list of now 108 items. Earlier it was 101, and also submarines, 6 submarines to be built indigenously. So how do you see this entire move by the government?
Firstly, I would say it's an excellent step forward. The negative list which was given out, that actually gives effect to the aspect that we are walking on our Atmanirbhar route, and wherein we have identified those things which can be taken on by the private industry. So I think it's a great tribute to Indian private industry, and we are trying to get them together on our efforts as a national for defense preparedness. But what is more important is that Defense DAP 2020, it had talked about the strategic partnership, and it had identified certain areas like submarine, helicopter, fighter aircraft, and armored vehicles. And now the decision has been taken to go ahead with the first strategic partnership project. In fact, this is what is landmark. This is what is important. And I think this is an excellent step to go further on the indigenization, Atmanirbhar, Make in India. This will prove to be an excellent step, although it is going to take a bit of time. But still, I think this is a very important strategic decision taken, and this gives a new direction, new turn to our efforts towards indigenous production. In fact, this is related to the Project 75I, which is regarding the 6th submarine, and now the RFP has been issued. It is for about 43,000 crores. I think this is one of the most significant aspects which is there. Firstly, you would recall that we had earlier discussed about the lease policy.
Yeah.
That was one excellent initiative which was taken.
Right.
And this is a strategic partnership on identified items where we have the capability, where we are identifying the OEM, the original equipment manufacturer, and then we want to produce it indigenously. And this is a strategic partnership route. And I would say these are the strategic steps which can really take us on to the Atmanirbhar, Make in India. And I think this is where the Indian industry is going to gain. Indian private industry is going to gain. And I think this is a major step towards our defense preparedness, towards our indigenous production, and towards strategic steps which were needed to be taken so that we take a large stride towards this aspect of it.
So it's a decision in the right direction. So Mr. Ravi Gupta, you are from DRDO. So I would ask you about the capabilities. Does India have the capabilities and capacity also to go for this indigenization and manufacture all these items that have been, the list of which has been issued by the government?
See, certainly. First of all, I would say yes. We have come a long way since independence. In the last 73 or 4 years, we have developed and gained a lot of capability building. Today, we are capable of designing, developing, and leading to production very advanced systems. Like, see, my simple question is if we can do it in case of the anti-satellite weapons, the army missile, the submarine launch missile, why can't we do it in others? So far, what was happening, that the emphasis of the procurement system of the Ministry of Defense, it was primarily on imports. So focus was somehow we have to import and avoid the indigenous products. Only those sectors flourished where the imports were impossible. Army missiles, strategic missiles, the anti-satellite weapon system, these are some examples where the imports were just impossible. And you see the outcome. Now, the present government has been giving a lot of emphasis on Atmanirbharta. This is reflected in this list of first list came out last year, August.
Yeah.
101 years items, now 108 items. Now, see, when you say capability,
yeah,
see the entire process of designing from the drawing board to the time it comes in the hands of our armed forces, there are strategic steps involved in that. Now, as far as designing and development is concerned, we have a lot of capabilities which have been underutilized. Next comes the production part. Production part, yes, there were a lot of problems initially, but today, bulk of the problems have been overcome. Industry has come a long way, and those industries which were not able to even work on the basis of made to drawing and made on the basis, but today they are able to make to requirement based. Well, the big industries like L&T and Godrej, with many items they have been themselves designing and producing.
yeah.
So we have come a long way. Yes, there are some small pockets. Okay, when you say a manufacturer of a aircraft or submarine, it is not just submarine. There are thousands and thousands of subsystems, the components, and the weapon systems, sensors, all of which will be going into it. Now, the industry, the private industry I'm talking about. Now, yes, even if they have capability to make it, manufacture it, there are many gaps. Like, what are those gaps? The facilities required for their test and evaluation and certification, they are very expensive. So a small MSME cannot afford them.
Right.
I think a time is down, we have to think in this direction also. Government has to, yes, the steps taken are in the right direction, like the 2 defense corridors have been set up, where I presume that most of the facilities will gradually come up. but they will not come up because ultimately anything coming up in the private sector has to be economically viable.
Yes.
So government has to make them economically viable through the right kind of policy.
Right. So you talked about submarines and big projects. I'm talking about, maybe I'll talk about small projects like assault rifles. You said that we have come a long way. Now we are in the 75th year of our independence, and we don't have assault rifles of our own. We are still using Kalashnikovs on the large number I'm talking about. So we have not been able to manufacture. Why so? Assault rifle. Mr. Gupta.
Okay. Now
We had this INSAS. I'll mention about INSAS project, which did not actually, which was scuttled, or maybe it dropped by the way. Yeah.
I think, Ajay, you have asked a very pertinent question.
Yes.
Now, my question is that INSAS was inducted after Bhagat. I can challenge in the entire world, no rifle was tested for more duration than INSAS. It has gone through the most rigorous tests across the length and breadth of the country, across in the Siachen Glacier, in the desert, Thar Desert, in the tropical and rainforest, everywhere it was tested according to the requirements, the laid down requirements. So where the things have gone wrong. Now, as I said, design development is the prerogative of DRDO.
Yeah.
And DRDO, right from the beginning, was prevented from entering into manufacturing. Rightly or wrongly, I don't want to. But the matter of fact is, DRDO is not allowed to directly enter into manufacturing. It has to depend. And in those days, when you are talking about INSAS,
Yeah.
in those days, the only manufacturer was the Ordnance Factory Tool,
Right.
the monopoly. Now, I would say, if the INSAS design was wrong, how could it clear the process? Number one. Number two, if some 5%, 10%, 1% items had some problems, some issues, was it a quality control issue or was it a design issue? So again, I will emphasize, we have all the capabilities of designing and development. The problem being in those days that only one company was there, which is Ordnance Factory,
Right.
and they could not somehow achieve the desired levels of quality control. Now, the people who handled it in the Ministry of Defence production, they should have been taken to task, but nobody blames them. And every time blame comes from DRDO and its capabilities are questioned. We had developed modern submachine carbine long ago.
Yeah.
It went into again testing trial mode because somewhere somebody sitting in the MOD procurement, I had last time also I discussed that procurement is not under the army MO. There is some babu sitting in the MOD.
So that is, as a follow-up question, I will ask the user, that is General Gurmeet Singh, about what went wrong. So design and development was perfect, but then it was rejected after some time of use. It was rejected. So army was the user. So I will ask you as the user, what went wrong with INSAS?
Ajay, I find it very interesting. You have switched on from submarine to assault rifle gun. So it's a very nice. And,
No, because this is assault rifle is the key. The basics. We don't have assault rifle on our own. Then we are talking about submarines.
Being an infantry officer, that's why I want to thank you that you are prioritizing on the assault rifle. I think thanks to you, because usually we tend to forget those things which are required for the mass requirement.
Right.
And in fact, you're right, this is the center of gravity of our fighting with the basic soldier. What went wrong, if we want really analyze, I think our PSUs have let us down. They are the reason the delays was there. And apart from this, I feel that now that things are bygone, now the nation is focusing and the priority is on indigenous production.
But my General Gurmeet Singh, my question remains: what went wrong with INSAS? What happened with that? Why did we prefer AK rifles, which are with the terrorists, which are with our soldiers? But what went wrong that we had to dump the INSAS?
I think it's a long story.
You can summarize it.
Very difficult to summarize it also because there are so many factors involved. It is a capability to produce it yourself. It is the aspect of R&D, technology. It is how the DRDO and PSUs prioritize this aspect. I think there's a lot of factors in the entire aspect of it. But
because General Gurmeet Singh, what I understand is what I learned, what I've heard or whatever I have read, it was a mix of 303 and AK rifle. It was supposed to be like that. assault rifle plus with the range, good range. So, but I don't know why it didn't work.
Yes, I think we were focusing on this 5.56 for a pretty long time.
Right.
And there's a lot of work which was done onto it. I think somewhere we went wrong in as far as the specifications are concerned, QRs are concerned, what we actually wanted it. Actually, the AK-47 came through the route of terrorism.
Yeah.
It came route because when we had gone to for the IPKF in Sri Lanka at that time, we ourselves bought it en masse from various sources, but that was not to the route of production. What actually was needed to the route of production. Now, what we are going in for the AK series in reference to Amethi, in reference to indigenous production, is too late a point if you look at the requirement and the need at the production. But I think a lot of lessons have been learned, and I think where we got to now start focusing is on an indigenous route, Atmanirbhar. See, actually, it's a responsibility of the state that R&D and technology has got to be brought into the nation. I think that is what is important. PSUs, DRDO, all those who were supposed to produce it, there was definitely a delay from their side and all. We have learned many a lesson. Now you're looking at, we have gone in for strategic partnership on the key items. But even today, this doesn't fall into the area of a strategic partnership item. You know how we have suddenly jumped over to the UAE market trying to look for the assault rifles from there.
Right.
Still, we are not finalized those things. I think there are many miles to be walked onto that, but it is important. But I'm happy that even while we're talking about submarine, even while we're talking about the strategic partnership, you have in your mind on the assault rifle, and you want to find out where did we go wrong. In fact, I think the entire nation wants to find out where we went wrong. But apart from what happened, I think now the need is that we should get into production within the house. We should exploit the defense corridor. We should exploit the MSMEs. And I would say strategic partnership is required on that aspect also. Thanks to you that we are prioritizing on that issue.
Yeah, because my actually concern is also because as I mentioned, terrorists also have AK rifles and we also have AK rifles. Why don't we have a better quality rifles so that we have an advantage over them? That was actually my question. General Gurmeet Singh.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Mr. Gupta, I'll come to you just now. Yeah, isn't it? So yeah,
I think Mr. Gupta has got a point. I think
Yeah.
since he's done a research on this issue, I've seen in his book he's gone into this issue. I think it's better let's listen to him.
Yeah, Mr. Gupta, yeah, you wanted to say something about, and as General Gurmeet Singh mentioned about delays in the DRDO. What do you say?
See, yes. Okay. I want to go into the delay part because what happened in the local Pandora box. Because it is a vicious circle. Now, more important is where is the path going? What should we do? And why were things were delayed, not only on the part of DRDO, but also on part of the production agency as well. And there was something to do with the process, the way the requirements have been given and the testing and trials are done. See, what happened? From the day the user works out the requirement, and by the time the product is inducted, a lot of water is flown in Ganges. Lot of water is flown. And for that, I think nobody can blame a single agency. If you are to blame a single point, it is just a long red tape. So many things are involved in that, and from one point to another point, now in a period of about say 10 years or 15 years, technology keep on changing. So the entire cycle has to be reduced. And this is what is in the present policy, lot of efforts have been made.
Yes, Mr. Gupta, that is why I am raising these questions when we are talking about indigenization and Atmanirbhar Bharat. See, it's a big project and with very ambitious programs and all that. But then we talk about basics. We are not, if we don't get the basics right, how can we talk about lofty ideals and programs, Mr. Gupta?
Yeah, exactly. The basics will remain the same. I would say the basics are that the red tapeism has to be set aside. Bureaucracy has to be set aside. There has to be all through professionalism. Whether it is the cleaning of the requirements is there.
And streamlining of processes.
Yes, everywhere the processes have to be streamlined so that the entire time from this much, it has to shrink to this much.
Right. And also it comes about the vision. So let me talk about howitzers. Now Bofors gun was the last 155 gun we have acquired maybe in 80s. after that, we have not even developed or we have not even worked on those. Mr. Gupta, if you can say about that.
See, Bofors is a very interesting story, and the General Gurmeet Singh, I think he is there.
No, I know the story, but maybe we, after learning that,
Yeah,
now we cannot procure those weapons.
First of all, why Bofors was purchased? 105mm gun was a grand success. Why the DRDO was not asked to develop a 155mm gun? It was sidetracked, but the government went ahead with the procurement of imported items. Okay. Then later on, towards the end of 90s, again it was decided that a new gun is required. The same thing, the story was repeated, DRDO was sidetracked. In those 20 years, the design teams which were working on 105mm gun, most of the people retired. And people don't know this fact. DRDO cannot take up big projects unless and until there is a specific requirement. The requirement never came to us.
Requirement means buyer. You want a buyer.
So buyer is no specific requirement. User has to define, okay, this is the item is required.
Right.
Without that, the finance will not sanction the project. It was through some means, after all, ultimately when a lot of problems, many problems came up, every time the tender for the procurement of advanced guns ended into some kind of a loop, and the procurement could not be materialized, and ultimately from the again the blame was coming on DRDO.
Right.
Whereas DRDO was not aware, nobody told us to make it. Now, Dr. Saraswat, when he took over in 2009, he took a conscious decision. He told me, I know, he said nothing doing, whether somebody wants or not, DRDO is an R&D organization, we will go ahead and develop. So that's how the brainstorming was started. Okay, today, as in 2010, what is the requirement and what are the futuristic requirements, and that's how the ATAG was formed.
Right.
But now once again, see what is happening. Our development work was complete within about a period of 3 years.
Yeah.
But the order will get to flowing.
Yes.
Substantial orders will get to flowing.
Right.
Two production agencies, both are private sector industries. Their quality control is excellent. They are global companies. But unless the product, see, this is the biggest available big bottleneck. Because private industry works on economics. Now, if you delay the orders, it is a kind of choking the private.
So that is why I am raising these questions when we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat or indigenization. These are the hurdles in the process. So how we had to first overcome these. Otherwise, talking big is good. General Gurmeet Singh, last question. I want to ask you about this 155mm. It played a key role in Kargil. But even after that, we have not been able to manufacture those guns.
You are absolutely right. The Bofors played a major role in the Kargil war. In fact, it was a very effective weapon, and it really.
I have seen them. I have seen them in action. I was there in Kargil. I covered that, so I know how effective they were.
Excellent, excellent. Anyone who has seen it so closely, like you, I think understands that this was one of the excellent weapon which changed the entire course of the battle.
Right.
But the sad story is that after Bofors what, or I will say before Rafale what,
right.
These delays which happened, which has costed this aspect for the national security is too much. In fact, we have faltered on many a ground. It's a procedural delay, it's a bureaucratic delay, it's a corruption content in it, it is the interpolitical nitpicking which was there. There's so many factors which really retarded the way we should have brought in the next gun or the next aircraft. Thank God Rafale has come in despite all those things and all. At the moment also, number of guns are being in the pipeline. In fact, whether it's a K9 Vajra or it is ATAG or Israeli gun or the aspirations of the US gun. But one thing is
they are, General Gurmeet Singh, we have to close. So they are all imported. You are talking about import. I am talking about indigenization. So we had to first get things in order about streamlining the process and ending the delays, bureaucratic hurdles. I guess that is what you both are agreeing on or saying. Definitely. Am I right? Am I right? So before
absolutely,
I conclude,
you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
absolutely correct.
Right. So we had to address those things before we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat in defense sector. Program is very welcome and very good. But the time of this program today is over. Thank you both of you for participating.
Thank you.
This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I will be back with another important and interesting topic same time tomorrow. Till then, take care and stay safe.